The best way to make good decisions as a trader is to actually decrease the amount that you have to make. So in this video, we're gonna be talking about decision fatigue and how it is ruining your trading, okay? This is the silent killer. This is the thing that plagues most people's trading and their performance, whether they realize it or not. So you might be wondering, what is decision fatigue and why should I even care? Well, decision fatigue is the mental exhaustion that results from having to make too many concentrated decisions. Let me know if this starts to sound familiar. Constant decision making can lead to poor choices, over trading, and emotional burnout. Now, for traders, this can plague your performance in the form of impulsive decisions. So for example, you could be in a trade, right? You had a trade plan, and while you're in the trade, once you're in it, you actually deviate from that plan, right? Maybe you say, I'm gonna trail my stop once we hit this level to break even, and then you trail it beforehand, and you actually get stopped out early or prematurely, right? That would be an impulsive decision. Or maybe you take profits too early. You don't let it hit your price target and scale out properly. That would be another impulsive decision, right? So for traders, this can plague your performance in the form of impulsive decision making, missed trade opportunities, and emotional trading, right? We've all been there, especially if you're a beginner, right? And you have to remember that your brain power is finite, right? Your brain power is finite. The human brain has limited cognitive resources and depletes decision-making energy throughout the day, right? So, for example, let me ask you this. Have you ever come back from work or come home from a full day at work and all you want to do is lay down, right? But you come in and your wife or your kids or your girlfriend or whatever, your roommate even, they start asking you all these questions like, what do you want to eat tonight? What do you want to do? What show do you want to watch? And all you want to do is just lay down and block out everything. That's decision fatigue, right? Where you come home and you really just don't care. You're like, I don't care. And that's a dangerous spot to be, right? Because if you don't care, you start making poor choices. You start over trading. You start over leveraging, right? And so when you just don't care anymore, right? Because you're so kind of burnt out, your brain power is all used up, that's a bad spot to be, right? So that's an example, right? That is decision fatigue. When you come home from work and all you want to do is just lay down, but everyone's asking you, what do you want to do? What do you want to eat? You know, all those questions, and you can't even think of the answer because you're burnt out, right? So as traders, we need to remain sharp and make quick decisions, and you can't do that when you've used up all your brain power. Have you ever noticed that the longer you try to focus, the harder it gets? I have, right? I've been sitting at the charts for a few hours in the mornings and I'm fully locked in. And by the time, 2 or 3 hours have passed and I'm ready to log off for the day, I'm wiped just after those few hours because I'm fully devoting my time, my energy, and my attention span. It's starting to run out, right? And I'm using up all my brain power within those first couple hours. And so how do we actually avoid decision fatigue? Well, you do it by decreasing the number of decisions that you have to make, okay? We avoid decision fatigue by decreasing the number of decisions that we have to make. And you can actually do this by keeping your process simple. So simplify your process. And this means having fewer variables and having a clear strategy, right? So the less moving parts, the easier it is to execute consistently, especially in the long term. So simplifying your process, have fewer moving parts, because the more you have, right, that's going to lead to complexity in your strategy. The more complex your strategy is, it's going to confuse you, and you're going to suffer from analysis paralysis. So the less moving parts, the better. And if you don't have a simplified, structured approach or framework that you're operating in, you're going to suffer from that analysis paralysis. And like we said, that's going to cause you to miss trade opportunities because you're in the markets and you're trying to implement all these little things into your approach. And by the time you come up with, with an answer of what you want to do in that current moment with that current setup that you're trying to analyze, it's already driven by you and you missed it, right? So simplify your process, right? Decrease the number of decisions that you have to make, and that way you can avoid this plague that is decision fatigue. Another way, right, that we can avoid this is by limiting chart time, and that's going to conserve our mental capital, right? And so we can limit our chart time and actually conserve our brain power by setting specific operating hours in the market. So for me personally, I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I trade New York AM session. That's like my main focus. And so I sit down the charts shortly before 8:30 and I'm looking for setups between 8:30 in the morning Eastern time and 11 to 11:30 in the morning Eastern time, right? So basically 3 hours I'm hunting setups, or a little less than 3 hours I'm looking for my setups, right? And using my simplified approach, my structured framework that I operate in. That way I can preserve my mental capital, right? And I don't burn out over the long run. So you need to set specific operating hours for you. And then you need to stick to a routine, right? So I wake up at the same time every day. I go to bed at the same time every day. And that way, one, my sleep schedule is on point. But two, I'm also getting to the market, right, with a sense of stacking these little small wins. So for example, in my morning routine, the first thing I do when I get up is make my bed, right? That's a win. Boom. I just did something that is going to compound the rest of the day, right? Start the day with the win, make the bed. Okay, now I'm up, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna journal, right? Boom, there's another win. Maybe even go to the gym. Usually I go to the gym either in the mornings or it'll be sometime after my trading session, right around 11:30, right around lunchtime, right? So you need to stick to a routine and set specific operating hours, and this is going to prevent burnout, okay? It's gonna give you that energy you need to sustain this trading, make it a full career long term. Another way to limit your chart time is actually to take regular breaks from the screen, and this is going to allow you to refresh and recharge, okay? So, for example, I let myself take 2 trades a day. That's one of my daily rules. I allow myself 2 trades a day, and if that first one is a loss, right, well, I'm definitely taking a break. I'm definitely stepping away, and then I'm going to come back after my head is clear. Because I don't want to make those emotional trading decisions like we talked about over here. And so I want to clear my head. I want to, maybe even go for a walk. That way, when I come back to the charts, I now am looking at price objectively, and I don't make any dumb or emotional trading decisions, right? Any poor choices, I don't overtrade, and I'm not sitting here stressing, right? So take regular breaks from the screen to refresh and recharge. And you have to remember, right? I said this in the last video, we're like athletes, right? If you haven't seen that video, go and watch it. It's about the 5 things that you need to know in your first year of trading. But I'm gonna touch on this point again. We're like athletes, right? Not in a physical way, right? Where you do, one, need to take care of your body because a strong body is a strong mind, but we're like mental athletes. We're not performing with our bodies, we are performing with our minds. And so you need to take care of your physical and your mental health. So that means getting proper sleep, get 8 hours, stop scrolling on short form content, right? That's another reason people suffer from this decision fatigue. They can't focus for more than 20 minutes on one task before they start checking their phones. Put that phone in another room, turn it off, do what you have to do to lock in, right? For a short period of time. It's just a few hours. Come on. Take care of your mental health, your physical, your sleep, right? 8 hours. I go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, 10 p.m., and I wake up at 7. Nutrition, right? Eat healthy foods, eat whole foods, and then exercise. Go out, go to the gym, go take a walk, get your steps in. We are mental athletes, and by taking care of your body, it's going to actually help you make better decisions and build a strong mindset, right? A strong mind. The gym's an important thing, guys. Me personally, when I was first starting in my trading career, I would go to the gym after having a losing day, which was often, right? It wasn't a lot of money back then, but still, like, it messes with your mind, right? Whether it's a lot of money or not. And a lot of money is relative, but we won't get into that, right? You might think this is a lot, I might think it's a little bit, vice versa. But the gym was like my outlet because I would have a losing day and I'd get in the gym, I put on key Glock and I'm like, all right, boom, put 315 on the squat rack, like I'm going ham today. And I would just let all my anger out and energy out on the barbell, right? I would just go ham in the gym. And not only am I releasing that energy, but I'm using that anger, if you want to call it that, and that frustration, and I'm actually using it to improve my body, which is in turn is going to improve my mind. So it's like a positive flywheel, right? I might lose a trade, right? But I'm turning that negative, one, into a positive by journaling, but two, and learning from the loss, but two, I'm turning that negative into a positive by going to the gym and letting it fuel my workout. And in turn, it's making me stronger physically, which makes me stronger mentally, okay? So remember, we are mental athletes. And you need to build strong habits that fuel discipline. So you can kind of do that by going to the gym, right? But you have to go consistently. It's not like you can just go in there, go to the gym one time, and now you're, Hulk Hogan or Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? So you need to build strong habits that fuel discipline and consistency, right? You need to have a structured approach with clear entry and exit criteria. I circled this thing red, guys. That means it's important, okay? You need to have a structured approach with clear entry and exit criteria. So if you're not looking at your setups and you don't already know where you're putting your stop loss, where you're getting in and where you're getting out, how much you're risking, what the R multiple is on the trade, if you don't know those things and what you're gonna size on the trade, if you don't know those things, then no wonder you're making impulsive decisions. No wonder you're over trading, making poor choices, and no wonder you're getting emotionally burnt out because you don't have a clear system that tells you what to do. You don't have a clear set of rules that you can follow. So it's very important to trust your edge. And you can't trust your edge if you don't have one, if you haven't proven it to yourself. So how do you improve your edge? Well, I talk about it in the last video, the 5 things I wish I knew. It's very important to trust your edge, stick to your trading plan, and not let impulsive decisions take over, okay? So by sticking to your edge, trusting your edge, and sticking to your trading plan and following it, you're gonna allow the probabilities to play out in your favor over time, right? Because our edge gives us an advantage in the market. And if we're taking skewed risk-reward setups, well then, the only way the probabilities are gonna play out in our favor is if you stick to your trading plan and don't let the impulsive decisions take over. So you need to have a strong mind, right? So you can see this, we're working this way, but you have to start over here before you can actually start over here and perform at a professional level, right? So you have to go to the gym. You have to know, and we have to break this down in a way that you can understand it. That way, you know what it is, you know how to spot it and fix it, and we can give you some actionable steps, right? That's what I'm trying to do with this video, okay? So it's important to trust your edge, stick to your trading plan, have a structured approach. And remember, from the last video, I talk about getting into and out of a trade should feel repetitive. That's what I'm talking about here, a structured approach with clear entry and exit criteria. And you should be properly journaling your trades to track what works and what's actually holding you back, okay? So by journaling, you're gonna build strong habits. Journaling is a strong habit. That's a good habit to have because if you're not tracking your progress, how can you improve it? If you're not tracking, you can't improve it. So by journaling, you're gonna spot what's working and what's holding you back, right? So you can look at your analytics. You can see what are some good trends in my trading performance? What are some bad trends? Maybe you're losing a lot on a Monday or Mondays are your worst day, right? Maybe you wanna strike that out of your trading repertoire, right? And stop trading Mondays altogether and just eliminate that day because all you do is lose on Mondays. So you should be properly journaling your trades to track what's working and what's holding you back, right? Because if you're not tracking it, then you can't improve it. So if you're not inputting your trades and identifying and using analytics to identify good habits and bad habits, then you're not gonna be able to actually refine your approach and double down on what's working and strip out what's not working, okay? So build strong habits that fuel discipline, and you need to have a structured approach with clear entry and exit criteria, all right? That way, you can depend upon that strategy, you know it works, and you can trust in your edge over the long term, and by trusting in it, you can stick to that trading plan, and that's going to allow the probabilities to play out in your favor over the long term, all right? So this was how decision fatigue is ruining your trading, and by watching this video to the end, you now know how to spot it, right? How to spot it, why it's a thing, and how to fix it, right? How to actually implement these things into your routine, into your trading approach. That way, these things don't plague your performance in the long run. So if you need help implementing these strategies and you want to work with me, what I want you to do is go down, click the link in the description, and we'll hop on a call together to see if it's a good fit.